Hi, my name is Bob Sandee, also known as Mixmaster Subgroover, and I'm a mixing mastering engineer, and I mix and master KSHMR's tracks. So for this video, it's all about the combination of the kick and the bass and how to mix those two elements together. Sometimes it's very hard because it's in the subs, in the very low end of the spectrum, and it's sometimes very hard to hear what you're doing over there. So in this case, I opened the mix and master project of Wildcard. I did this one 5 years ago, and I did a trick with the kick and the bass that I wanted to show you. So let's take a look at the project. Here's the kick and here's the bass, and as you can see, I split them up, and I'm gonna tell you why. But first, let's take a listen. Okay, so what did I exactly do with the kick and the bass? So let's first take a listen to the original stems, the ones that KSHMR sent me. These are the kick and the bass as I got them. So I did a couple of things. First of all, I thought it's kind of hard to hear what's exactly happening in the sub lows, because sometimes I think the bass sound is a little inconsistent in the lows, in the subs. So therefore I had to do a couple of things to kind of repair that. But yeah, there is kind of an overlap between where the kick exactly stops and where the sub bass starts, and you can see that over here. Sometimes it's very clear. If you look at the waveform, then you can see, oh, they are kind of lined up, or they are totally not lined up. So then you can play around with, for example, a phase inverter or a polarity inverter plugin. I'm gonna do that later on. But first of all, to make sure there's not too much overlap between the kick and the bass, I made the kick a little bit shorter. Yeah, you can do that in different ways, but I chose to do it like this. I grabbed the kick, I made it a bit shorter, and I did a little fade out. Didn't make it too short because I still wanted to the kick to have some body in it. So now if we play these two together, we can still hear that the bass sound has a lot of subs in it, and the kick has a punch and the lows, but not too much subs, because the subs of the bass sound itself it's gonna take over from the kick. Some of the bass notes are a little bit inconsistent. If I play, for example, this part, you can maybe hear it. And together with the kick, I think it's like the third kick together with the bass has the most lows in total. So I cut all the bass notes up, and then I deleted these two, and I just simply copy pasted the bass. So now we have this, which is much more consistent. I did the same thing for the second bar. So first let's take a listen. I thought the first one is better. The last one has a little pitch curve slide in it, but it's really not, I think it's not necessary in the track, and if everything plays together, you're not hearing it. So what I did is I copied this one and played it together. Yeah, so I did the same thing for the third and the fourth one. I think the third one sounds the best, so let's copy that. And the last one, same thing, I chose this one to be the best. So now we can hear that the bass and the kick are playing together, sound a little bit more consistent. Okay, so now if I'm listening very close to the very low end of the track, the subs, in order to hear this very well, you need to have a really good pair of speakers or a subwoofer with playing together with your speakers in a very good room. Because if you have not that good room acoustics, you probably won't hear the lows, or won't hear the lows as they really are. So it's really important to check that. And if you are not sure, just check it on different systems. Also, you can check it on headphones. Most of the time they're quite honest in the low end. So what I'm hearing here now, between the first bar and the second bar, this bar has quite an amount of low end, and this bar doesn't have the low end that I want. So maybe there's like a phase problem going on over here. So what can I do about that? So let's double the channel and let's simply put a gainer on it, and let's just phase invert it. It's really not phase inverting, but it's a polarity switch. So I'm changing the polarity, switching the polarity of the bass sound now. And let's just take a listen to what that does. And I'm switching it on and off. It's kind of hard to hear, but if I'm switching to the phase invert or the polarity inverting, then you can hear there's more bottom in the kick. So that means that there's between the kick and the bass there is a phase correlation problem. So I kind of fixed it with switching, inverting the phase. What you also can do, this little Labs plugin, the IBP, and I can delay adjust or phase adjust the signal of the bass. Let's listen to what that does in combination with the kick. So what I think is, if I'm inverting the phase, it's literally the same thing as doing this. It works much better together with the kick. Okay, so now for the next, let's check this. Or let's check how this sounds. So like this. Better option between those two. And you can play around with switching between these channels. I'm hearing a problem. Okay, so now I have the most consistent lows that are possible for this combination of the kick and the bass. So yeah, that's what I did with this track. That's why you see me having the kick over here and have copied the bass over here to different channels. So why there are 3 channels, that's because of the different EQ settings that I'm using on these channels. So if I'm looking at the EQ that I did on the bass right here, there are these settings. Then this is the phase inverted signal. As you can see, it's the same. And if I'm putting it to this channel, there you can see that I've made the cut here around 83 Hertz. So the fun thing is, if you are playing around with these phase invert things, then you can also apply different EQ settings, because you already have the different channels. So then you just have to listen to what you're doing. So let's play this bass and kick together so we can hear how it sounds. So as you can hear, and you saw it already in the EQs here, I cut the highs of the bass sound a little bit. And I did that on purpose because there is another bass sound playing over here with different EQ settings. And that's playing the mids and the highs of the bass. And now together with everything. So that's my trick. That's what I did to this track, Wildcard. I hope this information was useful, and I will see you next time.
Let's begin.